Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I kind of wanted to do a year in review, basically showing you my sketchbook and then of course a few loose pages I have, all that were done in 2023. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with some of the loose pieces I did. Now these are on a variety of different watercolor paper brands. And that's why some will look a little different than others, but I was testing out different papers and whatnot, but a lot of these are just kind of like testing and doodles, but I don't want to get rid of them because they're, I don't know, I used the paint. So I have this one here. I can't remember when I did this, but I know this was done with Masha's watercolors. Yep, that's what it was. She has like these super granulating paints and I was playing around with it. And this was just a cheap cold press paper, so it didn't really give the results I wanted. This is also on that same cheap paper. In fact, it's Artesa's watercolor paper. I was testing it out. But I had done this one here. Not really sure which paints I used for this one, but I just did some peonies. One's kind of like a little bulb starting to bloom, full bloom. Now I do loose watercolors, mostly florals, and I actually like mine fairly loose. I'm not really for realism at all. So yeah, that was that one. This was just a test. I was actually testing out a new brush. I even wrote hello. It's kind of fun to go through a sketchbook though, because it's not always like sketchbooks and paintings that you do year round aren't always for show or even make sense. Honestly, half the time they're just doodling or testing out a brush or a technique or whatever. This was me just testing around with this paper again. It's horrible paper. The water and everything, like I just kept getting pooling, and yeah, don't recommend it. I had done this little one here. I was just playing around and doing like a little thing of wildflowers. It actually turned out not too bad. I can't remember which paints I used. It's on that same paper though, so I had a few issues with the colors coming across. Now this was on, so Etcher sells, I love Etcher by the way, they're mixed media sketchbooks, which are hard to get your hands on right now. I'm hoping I can find them again soon. I have one left in my closet and then I'll be out of them. But they also make postcards. So I had painted this one. The problem is so here you see at the back is the postcard. This paper is nothing like their 100% cotton paper in their actual books. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's actually quite crappy. So my loose little roses didn't turn out, but I think I'll still send it to someone. I'm going to laminate it though before I send it. This was not Artesa paper. I was testing out a different one, and I can't recall which one it was. It was another cheap brand. So I like to try cheap brands here and there though, just to kind of see what comes of it, because you'd be surprised sometimes what you get. So these ones are actually from the end of 2022, but I'm going to show them to you anyway. Again, I was trying out that same paper. I can't remember what it was. Now, I always work on cold press paper. None of these that are loose are 100% cotton though. So I was just testing this one out, and as you can see, it didn't really work out with the paper. Paper, believe it or not, is the most important for your watercolors. You could have the crappiest paints, you know, crappiest brush, the paper comes first. Same with this one. I just got an effect that I didn't want. This one, yeah, this was also at the end of 2022. I was playing around with paints from Designs by Rachel Beth. I actually really like her watercolor paints. And so this was like a love set or something like that. It has some shimmer, but because of the way the paper is, just didn't quite soak through. Okay, sketchbook. So this is my Etcher 100% cotton sketchbook. I absolutely love this. It was incredibly affordable compared to buying like arches. So something to keep in mind. Now I'm going to give you the full tour here. So some of these will be from 2022. Others will be from this year. So this one here, I love this paper. The paint soaks in just right. I was just doing like an abstract little thing here with lavender. I think that's lavender. And then just splashing it around. Can't remember what paint it was though. This one here is just me doing some leaves and practicing leaves because I had just gotten this sketchbook and I wanted to kind of see how it would turn out. Same thing over here. I was practicing florals just to see how they would turn out on this paper. You can tell I favor certain colors, I guess. This one was just kind of a fun, relaxing doodle. I was practicing some different leaves, created some flowers, and then I just splattered paint because you know why? It just looks better when you splatter. So this one here, I was mixing and matching a very simple color palette and just kind of playing around with it. Not everything in a sketchbook, like I said, is art. Sometimes it's just practice. Oh, yes, this one. So I had a palette given to me by Designs by Rachel Beth. It was her spring one. So I was kind of working on some loose tulips that did not work out. I'd put the colors there, but it was fun nonetheless. This one, this is just me practicing brush strokes. So I was practicing some of my roses, making them a little looser here. I was practicing a few different petals, just regular strokes, bringing my stems in. I always recommend practicing. Anytime I do like a practice page like this, it's usually because I've gotten a new paintbrush and I kind of want to just see how it reacts to the paper and all that. This was just, oh yes, this is Masha's watercolor, so the granulating colors, and I just wanted to kind of see what the heck I would create if I just put a bunch of water down. So I did wet on wet, which I don't normally do. Like if you're new to my channel, I do wet on dry. Loose florals, which is kind of rare. Most people do wet on wet for loose anything. However, I went wet on wet with this paint because wet on wet is really where you're going to get the granulation of those colors. And then I just kind of wanted to see what would happen, and that's what happened. Over here, I was just making a cute little floral spread. Nothing fancy. For some reason, I threw some berries in there. I think it's because I was trying to perfect my berries. I'm not sure. This one was also just me practicing. So I was practicing a few different kinds of flowers and leaf strokes. This one here, I was doing some layering with colors, but I actually like the way it turned out. This one, I was practicing creating a bloom that's kind of hanging downward. This is also those Masha watercolors, and I was just having fun and just kind of throwing in strokes. No plan whatsoever. It was just playing around with the colors. I wanted to kind of see how they granulated. This was wet on dry. And then this is the page of leaves and grass. I was just kind of playing around, making different kind of leaves. Like I got some squiggly looking ones. Yeah, just kind of having fun. That's kind of the point, right? This was also, I think, Masha's watercolors. I was trying something different. I don't know what though. Something, yeah. I know I had a reason why I made these so huge. I think it's because I was going to go back and create outlines, but I never did. Alright, so this one here is just more playing around and practice. This was me testing some granulating colors in a wet on wet space. And then over here, I was just kind of playing around with a few new paints. I think this is when I got my Schminke. But yeah, like I did wet on wet here. You can always tell when I do wet on wet because it turns out ugly. So, all right, here we go. So this is another one where I just made some florals. I was honestly just playing around. Like, I could have made a full bouquet, but I just decided to do a few loose florals. This page is actually, I don't know if it's on this channel or if it's on my old channel before I swapped over, but I was showing how easily you could mix different colored greens using just like a few colors. So like these were all the greens I had made in that video, and then I just made some leaves for fun. But I was kind of just using this as an example of like, hey, you don't actually have to own a bajillion greens. This one here, I was just playing around, having some fun with a little abstract style. But I actually really liked it the way it turned out. This again is a practice page. A lot of the pages in my sketchbook as of late are practice because I accumulated so many paints and brushes between 2022 and 2023 that I had to like try them all out. So it was kind of like a doodle. This is just a cute little bouquet I made, nothing flashy. I was just having some fun with my, I think it was my spring or summer palette. This one, honestly, I don't know. It's the ugliest flower though, isn't it? I don't know what I was trying to accomplish here. Something. Oh, this one's one of my favorites. So I was just playing, I pulled out some blues and one purple, and I would just kind of go in between, mix and match, sometimes put both on the same brush, and just created these little leaves here. Nothing fancy, it's honestly just relaxing. This one here, I started a bouquet and I messed up my flowers and I got frustrated and gave up. I loved the leaves though. I was picking up green and pink together and just letting them blend. But yeah, that one just didn't turn out. Oops, sorry camera. This was an experiment page, so don't ask me what it was supposed to be. This one here is just a quick little test I was doing. So I did these very loose, and then I came back and added some lines later when they dried. I don't know what I was trying to attempt there. Okay, this bouquet here I actually intended to create. A few of my lines got a little, or my blossoms got a little too close. Live and you learn, right? This one here, I put the color palette up here just to remind myself the colors. And I just made a little floral spray. Honestly, I wasn't going for a specific flower, as you can see, but I was just creating whatever came to me. This one is one of those other like test bouquets. I didn't even finish it. I basically got started, interrupted, never finished. This one I did. So I was playing with, I think, my summer or fall palette with this one. And like I went back when things dried, added a few lines, and then did some splatter, but I was just having fun, honestly. Let's see. Oh, this one, I was testing a brush, a new brush. The Arteza brushes, that's what it was. Arteza brushes. I was testing them out, and they really weren't holding a lot of water. So you can kind of see how they flopped there. This is definitely with my fall palette. Created like a little wheat, and I didn't come back and finish. Like these need centers. But yeah, I was just kind of playing around with my fall palette. I would have gone in and honestly added probably some berries throughout, centers to some of these flowers, and then a little bit more greenery. I just never got around to it. This one here was just practice, honestly. You can tell I lean towards a certain color palette if you haven't caught that already. Okay, here we go. This little spray was just honestly playing around with a few colors. Same color palette is over here, except I added some blue. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I was just having fun. That's what watercolor should be, though. Like, if you're bored out of your mind, then stop. This one had started. It was going to be a bouquet. And I had started with my 2 flowers. And then I hated the way they were arranged. I tried to start adding greenery, and I was like, oh, I'll fill it in. And then I got annoyed, and so I just started doing leaf practice. I distinctly remember that one. This one here is just some very loose flowers. I like my flowers pretty loose. It's more fun that way. I like to leave it to interpretation. It's funny because when I first started watercolor, I was like, I'm going to be realistic. This was me just practicing some more finer strokes and playing around with a smaller brush, since I tend to use a larger barrel brush. This here is actually a tutorial on my channel, but just really loose florals. I use some super granulating watercolors just for extra fun. But you can look up that tutorial on my channel. And then this, sometimes my pages are upside down because like when I get onto this side, I'll just flip the book. I don't know what I was doing here. It was just another practice page. Sometimes I just pick up a brush and that's it. I only have a few pages left before this sketchbook is out. But yeah, often I just pick up a brush and start painting something, and I'm never really upset or regretting what I created because it's really just about relaxing and having fun. So it's kind of what I do, but I know we're all so different, right? But that's why a lot of my pages in here are not finished or half finished, because sometimes I just am like, oh, I'm in the mood to like literally paint a spray of leaves and then call it a day. And that's what I do. And that's what anyone's sketchbook should do. If you think a sketchbook is supposed to be all perfect paintings, then you're kind of looking at your sketchbook the wrong way. Sketchbook to me is the precursor. If I want a painting that I'm going to display, I'm going to put it on nice paper, probably Arches, and it'll be loose and ready to frame. My sketchbook is here for me to play, create whatever I want, walk away with it with no regrets. So that's how I use my sketchbook. Let me know in the comments below if that's something similar you do. I hope you had a lovely year of painting. I'll be painting a lot more this year. I'm hoping this year will not be as crazy as last. But yeah, that is my plan. So thank you all for hanging out with me for a quick little flip, and until next time, take care. Bye now.